Today's project is pretty much entirely to Maiden, this guy. This is the E-flite ICON A5. This is the newer E-flite one, not the original Parkzone one. I never had the original Parkzone one. From what I gather, it's essentially exactly the same airframe, but it's got an AR636 with safe in it, safe select. This version, they discontinued the Parkzone version some while ago, and this version came out last year. There's almost, from what I gather, there's almost no other differences. I think they put a little spot in the front where you can install a LED. You don't get a LED, but you can. There's a little rubber thing you can pull out to make there's a spot for a LED in the wing. This has only just been assembled. It hasn't been flown. Since I'm going to attempt to Maiden it, I'm not going to put a camera on it initially because I wouldn't want to try and Maiden something with a camera. I want to see how it flies first. Tail. Some people put carbon fibre, I know with the old one, some people put additional carbon fibre rods in the tail there to stiffen it. Although I'm not sure the problem is these things are reputed to sort of waggle their tails a bit when you transition thrust. They're also reputed to tip to the left a bit if you're not careful because of if you throttle up too quickly because of torque issues. So I gather, so we'll have to see. I don't think any of these tendencies are awfully horrible. Actually, I think the tendency with the tail wag is the real ICON has that as well. It's maybe something to do with the aerodynamic structure. It's just maybe that, the tails, the vertical stabilizer's a bit short, and it's fairly short coupled and whatever, and because of the nature of the airflow. Now I don't know whether I'm even going to be able to get this to move on the grass. I've got the wheels on at the moment. The wheels can be unscrewed and taken off, and you're supposed to put covers on. Actually, I didn't bring the covers with me, which wasn't probably not a good idea. I should have brought the covers with me so I could take the wheels off and convert it to float configuration. Yeah, they're really sitting down.
Throttle cut off.
They're really sitting.
High rate.
They're really sitting down, and then he's got high thrust as well. So. Well, now that's interesting. He moves across the grass fairly well, but he won't take off. He was moving across the grass pretty fast there, but he wasn't showing any signs of taking off. Presumably because of the high thrust.
Throttle cut on.
And yes, I do have the propeller on the right way round. That was another classic problem, that people put the propellers on the wrong way round, but it's not that easy to tell by looking at it, but that is on the right way round. Well, I don't know. If it just won't take off, I don't know what we're going to do.
Throttle cut off.
Yeah, see, it's because of that high thrust line. Whoa. See, it's got that really, really high thrust line,
Throttle cut on.
which makes it hard. Whoops. And the wheels, it doesn't help that the wheels are not.
Throttle cut on.
Nope. It just trundles across the grass and doesn't do anything.
Throttle cut on.
I'm not sure whether a runner will help at all. We can try. Okay, so I got a runner. That might get us a little bit more initial speed, but I don't know whether it'll do us much good. But if this won't work, I don't know what else to do. I don't particularly think I want to hand launch the thing. Well, I could. That's about the only other choice I'm going to have.
Cut off.
No. Nearly. But, you know, once it gets a little bit of extra speed as it goes over there, but...
Throttle cut on.
It gets a little bit of extra speed as it goes over there, but... I don't know. I've never had a plane that... I've had planes that wouldn't move on the grass, but I've never had a plane that would get moving pretty well on the grass, but then still not take off. I don't think this is going to take off, is it? Oh, just by absolutely punching the throttle there, if at first you don't succeed, God, I was really getting to feel we weren't going to get this off at all. By absolutely,
6 minutes.
of course I could make a slightly bigger runner. I've got a whole roll of that. I've got a whole roll. Yeah, we had a 7-minute timer on this guy initially. I think he should be able to fly for longer than that on a 2200, but whew. So just getting him in the air was a big struggle off the grass. I don't know whether he would have done any better without the wheels sliding on the grass. He might have done, I don't know. Okay, whew. I'm just out of breath just getting him in the air there. He has safe select and he's actually got safe mode on at the moment. You know, this is his stabilized mode. Feels a little on the sluggish side. Like, you know, I mean, he doesn't feel as if he's got massive amounts of power. Let's take the safe. Bring him round and take the safe select off.
5 minutes.
Try and
AS3X mode.
Yeah. Well, you've definitely got more control in AS3X mode. That's what I call it, because, I mean, that's what it is. There's a bit of wind as well. We're going upwind there. That's partially why he's going rather slowly there, because there's some wind going that way. Not much, but he certainly doesn't seem to have an overabundance of power. I would have thought, you know, with a big propeller like that and a 30 amp ESC. He can loop, though. There was some question about whether he could even loop, but I think that was just confusion. I.e., I think people who couldn't get him to loop either had got it stuck in safe mode or had got the propeller on backwards, in which case you won't get enough thrust. I'm surprised they could even get the thing to take off
4 minutes.
with the propeller on backwards. But anyhow, so we definitely can get him to loop. Roll is not terrific. And I'm running the throttle much higher than I do with most planes here because he seems to need it. I definitely don't think I want to go over the 7 minutes initially because, as I say, I'm really pushing the throttle on this guy. I don't know whether he has a lot of drag or what, but don't want to go much further away than that because my eyes are not that good. Because now the sun is really getting bright. The sun's coming up higher and it's starting to, you know,
3 minutes.
punch, not whatever, you know. It's starting to dazzle me as I look to my left, which is the west. See, we're flying towards the east there. No, I'm getting it all backwards, aren't we? We're flying towards the west there. The sun rises in the east, good Lord. Yes. You'd think it would be extremely easy to see this plane because of his weird, his configuration is very distinctive. And I mean, when he's closer, but he gets a bit further away like that, it isn't that easy to make him out. I guess he could, partially because he's a bit squatter than a lot of high-wing planes, because he doesn't have the undercarriage things and he sits pretty closely under the wing. So as he gets further away, his profile is pretty compact. It isn't that easy to make him out.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
I'm getting a little better at controlling him. This is all on high rates, mind you. I haven't made any attempt, as some people do apparently, to reprogram the receiver. Some people reprogram the receiver, I gather, to dial down the AS3X gains. This is with the receiver out of the box. But it is on 100% rates. I'm going to put him back in stabilize mode because my hat's coming off, as is frequently a problem. That's sort of basically hands off in safe mode because, as I say, but most of that was all in high rates. Wouldn't hurt to have flaps, now that's an interesting story with the flaps. They were dithering, the people who, I forget the name of the company, the people who make the real Icon were dithering about whether to put flaps, or whether they should put flaps on it or not.
Time remaining 1 minute.
And they, so we should come in for a landing now, because we've only got a minute left. They decided, well, they were leaning towards not putting flaps on when they first, not this version, when Hobby's Zone, Horizon Hobby were creating the first version of the Parkzone. They had prototypes that had flaps and prototypes that didn't have flaps. Because it looked like Icon were not going to put flaps on the real plane. Try not to land in the long grass there. We're fairly far over. I think I won't taxi it just because I want to. Oh well, maybe I will. That'll run me up to the 7. And it's got a steerable nose wheel. Oh, famous last words. I would. No, can't seem to get it to. Okay, I can't get it to move now. It's got its nose wheel stuck in the grass, and I can't get it to move. So I'll have to go and get. I was going to taxi it if it would, but it doesn't want to. I think it's dug its nose wheel into a hole in the ground. Hope it hasn't damaged it. Oh yeah, it's just kind of dug its nose wheel into the grass there. It's not a particularly big nose wheel. It's quite very steerable. Well, there you go. There you go. I don't know. I don't know really. It was a bugger to get it off at all because with the high thrust it doesn't have a lot of lift. Oh, I never did finish the strap story, did I? So they had prototypes. Parkzone, when they were bringing out the original Parkzone version, had prototypes with flaps and without flaps. Then it looked like the real Icon was not going to have flaps. So they went ahead and put it in production without flaps, but the makers of the real Icon decided to put flaps on it before they put it. So the real Icon does have flaps, but it was went down to a last minute decision whether to put the flaps on or not. So I gather, I don't know anybody in the company, but this is what I was reading. Anyway, so this has never had flaps. And then this is, the E-flite version, but it seems to be made entirely from the same molds as the original Parkzone version. That was 6 minutes and 30 seconds. This is the battery hatch. You have to pull up this tab, which I think maybe we should put a stronger tab on, because I can see that one pulling off, and it's just held on by pretty strong magnets at the back. And there's not much ambiguity about where you put the battery, because, well, if you put it in the cutout, they've got a pretty exact cutout that just fits a 2200. Okay. Without the battery hatch and without a battery, the plane falls over on its tail. But this is one of my it's an older Zippy 2200. It's a little bit swollen, but it seems to take a charge pretty well still. It was a bit under maximum. It was about 418 or something when I started, about 12.5 total. And after 6.5 minutes, it's down to 11.6. So that's, That's reasonable. You know, basically the 7-minute timer for now, with something like this, with a battery like this anyway. 7-8 minutes is probably what I'd want to put on it. And I don't know whether I'd want to try and put a bigger battery in it. Another problem people have mentioned with it is on water, the seal. See, there's no division between see, that's where the wheel, the steering arm for the wheel is at the front, and that's the rudder servo and things. So people say water gets in there sometimes. There is an O-ring that's supposed to go on the seal to stop water getting in through that front thing, but seems to work better for some people than others. Some people say they don't have the problem, other people say they get water inside it when they fly it off water. We'll see. I'm hoping to get a chance to fly it off water, but we'll see.